Okay, so here's another example for Bayes' theorem. We have a plant that has two machines. Machine A produces 60% of the output with a 2% defective rate. Machine B, 40% of the output and a 4% defective rate. Okay, so our question is, if we have a defective item, what's the probability that it came from machine A? So we're going to set this up in a tree diagram. If you need to pause before I move on, go ahead. And so here we have just the first part. 60% of the product is made by machine A, 40% by machine B. So put this stuff over here first. Of those made by A, 2% are defective. That's my D right here. And 98%, I know that looks like a 4, that's a 98%, are not defective or good. And for machine B, 4% defective, 96% good. And so now we're just following through the path here. Machine A, good and defective. So, and then for B, follow along B, not defective, and B, defective. So I've got just the probabilities there. Now I can multiply across each branch to get the probability for each one of those. So 0.6 times 0.98 is 0.58 and so on. So our question was, given that we have a defective item, so we're going to find the ones that are defective. Given that I have a defective item, what's the likelihood that it came from machine A? So those are the only cases of concern now. And so we'll take this probability and divide by the sum of this probability and this one, because those are the only ones where we have a defective item. This is just the same thing reproduced, I believe, but let's check. Okay, we've gone ahead and worked it out here. So we take the 0.012 and divide it by the sum of the 0.012 and the 0.016. So if there's a defective item, there's about a 43% chance it came from A. Even though it only has a 2% defective rate, it also has more output. So if there is a defective item, it's a 43% chance of coming from A. And though this wasn't the question that was asked, we can go the other way on that and say that what's the likelihood that it came from B? This time it'll be the 0.016 on the top and the same sum below, or about a 57% chance. And that's just an example of how to use Bayes' theorem using a tree diagram.